Looks like Skynet is rebooting with some familiar faces there to terminate them. I'm Sasha Pearl Raver, and this is Screen Junkies News. We heard him say it in Terminator 2 Judgment Day, but it looks like, yes, Arnold Schwarzenegger will... No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he's going to be back. I'm just not going to do it. All right, that's what everybody else is doing. We got the news earlier this year that the rights to the Terminator are reverting back to James Avatar Cameron in 2019, and that he's already started development on a new Terminator film. Now, in an interview with Screen Daily, the Governator said of the franchise, quote, "It is back. It is moving forward. He, Cameron, has some good ideas of how to continue with the franchise. I will be in the movie," end quote. Well, let's talk about all of this with Victor Torres and Markia McCarty. What is a Terminator movie without Schwarzenegger?
Well, he's been in all of them, so it seems like he's going to be a very active part of this one.
Absolutely.
Terminator 6.
You have to.
We have 6 of them.
Well, that's crazy. That's actually, I think, crazier. So if I were to ask you what happened after 2, could you tell me?
Yes.
Rise of the Machines, what happened?
Okay, so Rise of the Machines opens up. Nick Stahl is John Connor.
Oh my
we find
God,
out
he can
that
do it!
Linda Hamilton's Sarah Connor has passed away.
She died off screen.
Which is so lame.
I hate it when they do that.
Basically, they find out that they did not stop Judgment Day. They just delayed
Postponed it.
So the machines send back an even more advanced T-3000 whatever,
Christina
the Terminatrix,
which is weird because she's not like that like melting thing that like like Patrick
melting thing.
Yeah, the T-1000,
the awesome T-1000, which is like the bomb.
Like she's like
Robert
a
Patrick.
hybrid. Robert Patrick, thank you.
Yeah.
She's like a hybrid
Liquid
of like
metal.
liquid metal
Yeah, it was
and
like
an
melting
actual
thing.
Terminator.
Do you remember the first time you saw that effect?
That was cool.
And like all of our minds were so blown.
I was terrified that Robert Patrick was like in my closet, like going to like liquid metal me, turn me into Capri Sun, like in the night. Like,
How about
my
that
God.
one scene where he like turns into like these crowbar like things?
Oh, yeah.
And then like part of it shot off, and then it's just on the car. That was terrifying
That's
to
a
me. That he could
good
leave pieces of himself.
movie, man. That is a good movie. But we've had some like rocky times.
yeah.
Terminator, amazing. T2, back in theaters this summer, gonna be awesome. Still totally holds up. Rise of the
Judgment
Machines,
Day.
I am very
I
impressed.
can't
that you-
stand that movie.
I'm
I
very
can't
impressed
stand
that you
Rise
retained as
Against-
much as you did.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then we get into Salvation,
Yeah.
which salvated nothing.
Yeah.
And then
It was an interesting story.
Sure.
That they told. It was a way to tell that story.
And then they hit us with Genesis. And the idea was that was going to be like the new reboot, and it was not. And now we have another one. So going into a 6th movie, what do you hope this is? What do you want to see? What do you think they will do with this, Markia?
Okay. I'm a fan of these movies, no matter how it seems like me sitting here. I've seen all of them in theaters. I will see this one in theaters too. It's Killer Robots from the Future. I mean, this is the bread and butter. But I honestly don't know what they could possibly tell at this point. I mean, what could they? We're gonna postpone Judgment Day again. You know, I mean, at this point, there's nothing to tell.
I agree. I think that was the issue with Rise of the Machines, is that that's essentially how it ends, is Nick Stahl and Claire Danes in this mountain facility, and it's just like, Judgment Day is upon us. I guess it is happening. And I feel like, where do you go from that? Honestly, especially with the continuity being all over the place, I don't even know that I care about them doing like a reboot, or, you know, if Arnold's coming back, honestly, take the Fox stance on it. Just make a good standalone Terminator film. If it conflicts with other things, fine. Just make it good. Like, don't try to necessarily make all the dots connect. I think I have a little bit of faith with like where it's going, but it's tough. I haven't liked a Terminator film since T2.
Yeah.
And that was over 20 years ago. Like,
Well, so if you were going to give this movie a title, what would you call Terminator 6?
Okay, I've got a couple of options.
Hit me.
Redemption, because hopefully this will be a good one.
Yeah.
You know, if James Cameron is he's that all about it, he's that impassioned, great. Yeah, redemption. Legacy, because, you know,
like
at this
that.
point, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Once you hit 6,
Yeah.
wow. And then my favorite, Deviant.
You got any for me?
Yeah, I got one for you. T6, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Just Milk a Franchise. But franchise, in the franchise, instead of the I, it's a Y.
Oh,
So we're kind of carrying things on with it.
Man,
So
Victor Torres,
see.
That's funny.
FTW. Okay, so
Yeah.
here are the things that we know. We know that Deadpool director Tim Miller is reportedly directing based on a script from David Ellison, who did Genesis, but Cameron is sort of godfathering the project. When we hear that, I don't know how James Cameron can godfather something, because James Cameron is a hands-on man. He is very busy with the Avatar films. But what do you think godfathering means, Victor?
I mean, I think just like you said, I think he's a hands-on man. I think this is the one positive part for me, because it at least says that, you know, we have Tim Miller. We know that he can, like Deadpool. I love Deadpool. I think he can tell a good story. I think Cameron then is perfect at spectacle, the action. So I think having these two at the helm, whether or not he's going to be like calling all the shots, to at least have Tim Miller be directing it, that's awesome in itself.
Yeah.
But to have basically Cameron be the person that he has to check in with, like, hey, what do you think of this so far? I think is absolutely perfect. So I will say that, like, while I'm still a little nervous about this whole process, I think I couldn't have asked for a better, you know, team, I guess, to attack this. And I'm a little excited about Arnold coming back.
When you've got Tim Miller, it sort of raises the question of, he had such a specific tone in Deadpool, which I love so much.
Yeah.
Do you think that Terminator lends itself to that? Or is this an opportunity for him to sort of flex his directing muscles and give us more of like the darker, grittier stuff that we saw in Deadpool, as opposed to the comedic stuff that maybe Ryan Reynolds was more responsible for?
Well, I would enjoy a kind of Deadpool-like tone for a term. They've just about done everything else.
Yeah.
So, you know, go
Why
ahead and give us something that different. And it could work, because Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's so funny. He's got a real fun, like, delivery with everything. I've seen all of his movies, even watched Eraser. So that says a lot. If you haven't seen that movie,
Wow.
don't
Did
see
you see
it.
The Last Stand? Him and
Yes.
Johnny Knoxville?
Yes.
Wow, you are a
I've seen
fan.
all of his movies.
God.
So I'd like that. I'd like that. Go ahead and go with the grittier aspects of it, but go ahead and have a little bit of comedy. in
Yeah,
there. But no
absolutely.
Rise Against the Machines. Not that comedic.
I think
Not
I'm on
that
the
far.
other end of that, because I would definitely like a grittier Terminator, but I don't know that the humor would do it to me, because then that kind of lends itself to being a little bit more self-aware, which is fine to an extent, but once it gets into like Jurassic World territory, self-aware, I feel like it becomes then almost cynical, or almost just like, oh, it's okay that we're making this kind of dumb or stupid, or have Arnold say I'm back for the 50th time, because the movie knows that it's dumb.
Yeah.
I would really like them to... I'd like to see Tim Miller
that belt
actually
buckle.
do, try his best at making a good standalone Terminator movie.
Are you saying you don't want Sarah Connor running in heels?
I'd love that. That just makes sense. Yeah, of course.
I will be so angry if they do that. Well, what I think the biggest question that we don't know yet is this a sequel? Is this a reboot? Because there have been so many different iterations. And also, you bring up Sarah Connor, like the Sarah Connor Chronicles that was a great TV show. So I wonder what direction they're going to go in. But I do think Schwarzenegger himself is so self-aware that it would actually make a lot of sense for the Tim Miller brand of comedy. And I think this could be the birth of like another thing, but you have to pass the mantle. At some point, you have to be able to do a Terminator movie without Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Is that possible? And will they be looking for the person who can step into those shoes? And if this fails, then what happens?
They'll still make a seventh one.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Did you see Genesis? Yeah.
And I'll go see it in the theater, because
Because we're still hoping that we're going to get back to the T2 greatness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's possible to have a Terminator film without Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think it always just comes down to execution. Like, what are they highlighting? Because at this point, Genesis, he was definitely there, but it seemed like he was there just to serve the audience. Like, it seemed like
Totally.
At this point, Arnold is coming back because fans of the original Terminator and T2 were like, let's get Arnie back. I think then the issue is, how do we reinvent, or what do we take from the original Terminator or T2 that worked, that wasn't all specifically Arnold Schwarzenegger? Arnold Schwarzenegger is fantastic in both of those movies, but he is not the sole reason why those are engaging, terrifying films at times.
Well, I think in general, the thing that all action movies sort of need to learn, and specifically sci-fi action movies, is it's not just about the spectacle. Like, T2 was incredible because it did push special effects in a way that we'd never seen before, but the story, Edward Furlong, Linda Hamilton, like, that's really what made that movie so great. And I think that now we have access to everything almost technologically. So people are like, let's just do everything. And it's like, no, what Victor is saying is right. Like, we need a great story. And yeah, you do need Schwarzenegger in some way, shape, or form. But we want to know, are you guys excited? What would you title this Terminator movie? And what do you want to see? Is it a reboot? Is it a sequel? Is it something entirely new? Let us know in the comments below. You can tweet us at SJ News. Make sure to like and subscribe. And of course, you can always click here for more Screen Junkies news. See you soon.